I have watched with interest the standoff in southern Nevada between the cattle rancher Cliven Bundy and the federal government. I have listened as newscasters and neighbors and friends have said, well, if he didn't pay his federal grazing fees, it's his own fault. He should have known better. What right does he have to stand against the federal government? What right? My friends, he has an obligation to stand against the federal government, as do you. The difference is that he can see it and you can't. The BLM insists that Mr. Bundy has failed to pay his grazing fees, that he has failed to follow court orders. But my question would be this: does he have an obligation to pay fees to an agency who is unconstitutionally formed and who is behaving unconstitutionally? Does he have an obligation to follow orders that support unconstitutional behavior on the part of the federal government? I say that he doesn't. And I say that we as a people don't. We have the most amazing government and the most amazing freedoms and liberties and prosperity in this world. But we are losing it so fast. We are letting it go. And this most frustrating part of this is that we can't see it. We are so blind that we can't see it. James Madison wrote, "The powers delegated by the proposed Constitution to the federal government are few and defined." Now, who in the world is James Madison that we should even listen to him? He wrote the first draft of the Constitution. He understood then, and he understood better than most what the intent was in forming our federal government. And he understood that it was essential that government be limited. And the purpose of this Constitution wasn't to provide rights for the people. No, the purpose of the Constitution was to limit government so that the people can remain free. Now, I've asked a lot of people, what are the three branches of government? And the people say, well, it's the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. Wrong. These are not the three branches of government. These are the three branches of the federal government. And we must understand where the federal government was placed in the hierarchy of powers in order for us to understand and enjoy liberty. You see, God created the people, and the people created the states, and they were governed by the Articles of Confederation. And some 10 or 11 years later, the states created the federal government. Now, in any one of these examples, did the Creator give his creation all of his powers? Did God grant to the people all of the powers of God? Did the people grant to the states all of the powers which God has vested in the people? No! When the states created the federal government, did they give away all of their powers and all of their rights? No, they did not. You see, the three branches of government are the federal government, who is subject to the state, and the state is the second branch of government, who is subject to the people. Now, we don't understand this. So the weakest and the most limited branch of government is the federal government. And the federal government is broken up into three branches: the legislative, the executive, the judicial. And for some reason, because of stupidity, because of ignorance, because of we just don't care, we have granted the weakest part of government all power. And we bow down before them. We crawl before their unconstitutional edicts, and we allow them to do whatever they choose to do. And we shrug and we say, well, it's the government. We have to go along. One of the things we do often is we have the wrong discussion first. We talk about different things that come up, and we say, well, how is this going to work? How is Common Core going to work? How is Obamacare going to work? How is whatever going to work? What we need to do is we need to take these different agencies as they are created, these different bills as they come forward, and we must examine them in the clear light of the Constitution. And only if they pass muster in that light will we ever move forward to discuss the merits of a bill or an agency. So maybe what we should do before we talk about whether the BLM has the right to take Bundy's cattle or kick him off of Nevada lands, maybe we should have a hard look at the Constitution. So let's do that. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution is very, very clear. It states that the federal government may exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district, and then it describes a district where the seat of the federal government exists. And in this case, this would be the District of Columbia. And then it goes on to say, and here's the part that applies to Mr. Bundy and Nevada. It says, and I quote, "And to exercise like authority over all places purchased by the consent of the legislature of the state in which the same shall be for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other necessary buildings." This is the limitation placed on the federal government. They can purchase small plots of land for military bases, for magazines and arsenals, to have dockyards and other necessary buildings. Now, that's it. I've read this 2 or 3 times. I see nothing about the desert tortoise. I see nothing about grazing rights. I see nothing about cattle. You see, the Constitution limits the federal government and does not allow them any jurisdiction over state-owned properties, except for those that were specifically enumerated. Now, there is a fault line that divides our nation. It runs right down the middle of Colorado from north to south. And those states that are west of that fault line are owned almost entirely by the federal government. And those states which are on the other side of that fault line, to the east, they own almost all of their lands. You see, the Founding Fathers opposed providing for a centralized government that would have all power over all of the people. And as the 10th Amendment says, it gave those powers that aren't specifically enumerated in the Constitution to the states or to the people. Now, I would like you to consider this. Consider the Dakotas, for example. They are having a boom right now as they extract fuel from their state lands. Consider Texas, who is enjoying the same thing, and they have budget surpluses, and their unemployment rate is a fraction of the national average. Now consider Nevada and Utah and Idaho and Oregon. These are the states that are most negatively affected. The federal government owns the vast majority, 80, 90%, on a state-by-state basis. Now, these states also suffer with less money per child for education, of less resources, of lower employment. What if in our states we had control of the timber rights and the mineral rights and the energy, and we could manage that for the benefit of our state and for our people and for our children? You see, Cliven Bundy is on the right side of the law. Cliven Bundy understands what most citizens can't begin to comprehend. There are 3 branches of government. They are not the executive, the judicial, and the legislative. They are, in fact, the Fed, the state, and the people. And the problem we have is that we have a runaway federal government who has no respect for the Constitution. We have state legislators who are weak, and they crawl before the unconstitutional edicts of criminals who hold office in Washington, D.C. And our people, because of our ignorance or our laziness or our apathy, don't know the difference. I'm Lance Earl. I'll see you soon.